Hello there, YouTube. For people who are reading my Telegram, remember how I posted that I watched the first season of True Detective, and how I mentioned that it was probably a wrong series to watch before leaving civilization. Well, here I'm gonna show you why, really, and also show you the place where I spend like a couple of weeks each year, and probably you'll get some notion why there's no internet here. And yeah, it's actually the last day here. We're leaving this evening, but I fell ill for a couple of days, so I only managed to film it today, and I beg your pardon in advance for the sound quality. Yeah, so there we have it. There's the house and my wife, and she's complaining about the the bench I've constructed. Here's the neighboring house where the resident freelance veterinarian lives. There's the car over there up on the hill, and there are two more houses with people living in there like a year round. And opposite that there's a road. There are two more houses over there. You cannot see them at the moment, and that's it, really. Nobody else. By the way, those houses over there, they are not occupied a year round, so really the people living here the year round is our neighbor, her ex-husband, and his mother. Way over there, there was a senior citizen who died this Easter. He was 92, I think. Yeah. There's the typical house and the typical, like, two buildings. That used to be a barn, now it's empty. There's the house with two entrances. Here's the bathhouse, a separate one. And this small building over here used to be an old bathhouse. Now it's just empty. And let's go through the front door, shall we? Yeah. All these fences are purely decorative. My mother loved the idea. Storage for firewood. Bit of a garden that's empty. Here's the entrance. That's the recent addition to the house. Sort of a improvised cooking area. Improvised storage area, nothing to see there really. And the roof is a bit leaky. These are actually pieces of wood, and there's a modern roofing on top of that. And here are the living quarters. As usually it's built around this enormous white thing. I don't really know how to call it. A stove probably will be the correct term. It has two like fireplaces. Here's one, big one, and there's also a small one over here. back when there was no electricity, these two holes opened and you had an exposed fire. It used to be a kitchen, now it's sort of a semi-kitchen. Sink, dining area. Here's the couch transformer that the boy is sleeping on. Window. And here's the main living room, which is currently a mess because we're packing up. Here's another transformer. I'm sleeping here. And here's another sort of room, probably the cleanest of them all. Currently my daughter is sleeping over here. Clocks. And all of this is built around this stove, so that's the back wall of it. It's separated from the wall by this sort of passage. There's a space over there. Sometimes people used to sleep back over there. And here's a separate small stove that you can heat up pretty quickly, and the chimneys are interlocked into one. Sorry. Yeah, so modern TV with a modern receiver. That's an antique. I think my mother brought it from Moscow. This one, also an old piece of furniture. Photos. So there you have it. The living quarters. They probably didn't change much since like late 19th century maybe. So this is like how Russian people used to live in the rural areas. Sorry, exiting from another. Also, over there, see the brickwork? That's the chimney. So I'm exiting now, and let's get out back. As just an empty area. Garbage that needs to be burnt. Back of the old bathhouse with a colony of ants that I'm currently exterminating. Back of the newer bathhouse, which is also pretty rotten. Remnants of an ant colony that I miraculously exterminated last year. They left. Back of the house, the chimney, old apple tree that's on the verge of destruction. Used to be, everything here used to be planted with potatoes. Now it's pretty empty. Bathhouse, neighbor's house, and the neighbor over there. Much more like cultivated because she grows her own crops like potatoes, onions, etc. And the whole extent, like not these trees, but the trees out there at the back, that's I think the limit of the space of the land that belongs to me. Yeah. And one final thing, let me show you what happens if such a house gets neglected for like 20 to 30 years. If you don't heat up this enormous like stove, and if you don't warm up the place at least a couple of times a year, eventually this happens. Used to be the neighbor's house. I never met them, so I don't know who inhabited it. And this house was actually bought on a whim by my grandfather and grandmother, so my ancestors didn't live here. They just happened to be in the area and stumbled upon the owner and said, "Sell us your house," and he did. Because I think his parents died and the house was neglected, so they renovated it a bit with the help of my mother, later with my help. And there we have it. There's the place. I still have, pardon me, I still have a couple of hours before we leave. And if I managed to edit the montage of us coming here, you probably know that it's quite a process. Like car, then train. So I have a couple of more hours. I still have some garbage to burn, and then I'll probably try to fix the roof, because like this barn, it looks okay over here, but there are 2 or 3 big holes on the other side. I may try to get up and patch them up, but there's a risk of the roof collapsing under me, so I don't know. And then I'll have to contract the locals to build it for me. They have already remade the fence that you probably saw a glimpse of. That was done by the locals, which are very helpful and seem to be very genuinely glad that someone is visiting this place and keeping it in running order. Well, somewhat running order. So there we have it. There's my place. There's my land. And there's my place in the depths of the Russian, rural Russia. And if it doesn't look like Louisiana from True Detective, believe me, I get these vibes constantly. I'll probably film here some more when I hope to come back in August. I'll show you like the surrounding area, like the countryside and nature. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, thanks a bunch. And I'll be seeing you people. Goodbye.